of the organization Whistleblower Aid. Mark, good to have you here. We are hearing the phrase constitutional crisis already less than a month into this presidency. The dean of the law school at UC Berkeley telling the New York Times there have been so many unconstitutional and illegal actions in the first 18 days of the Trump presidency. We've never seen anything like this. Mark, other administrations have clashed with courts before. So how do you see it? Is this a constitutional crisis, or is it just heightened friction between these two branches?
I mean, constitutional crisis may be a little bit over the top, but I think what we're seeing is we're on the verge of getting there. I've been saying to so many people that we're not even close to how bad it's going to be. It is going to get far, far worse. Like, I've been litigating against Trump and his allies for almost a decade now. And the strategy that they are playing, as you just talked about in your first panel, with an appeal of an administrative stay by a judge, which is a docket entry control mechanism that they have as they're hearing motions. They are playing out what they've done in the civil cases we've been litigating, particularly defamation, of lawfare that they, the MAGA crowd, have been pushing towards those who criticize them. And their strategy is they appeal everything.
Yep.
They file every possible motion they can, whether it is borderline frivolous or at times frivolous. They've been sanctioned many times over the course of the last few years. So what we're going to get, and what I'm most fearful of, and it's already being discussed publicly by many people, is when will that decision be by a federal judge that the president of the United States just says, you and what army is going to enforce that? That then will be the real constitutional crisis.
Lisa Rubin just talked about how this could move quickly to the Supreme Court. In his year-end report just a few months ago, Chief Justice John Roberts had a warning, writing, for the past several decades, the decisions of the courts, popular or not, have been followed. And the nation has avoided the standoffs that plagued the 1950s and the 1960s. Within the past few years, however, elected officials from across the political spectrum have raised the specter of open disregard for federal court rulings. Mark, where do you see this Supreme Court landing on the issue of Trump and executive overreach as these lawsuits litigate all the way up?
Well, certainly what we saw in the last half of the Biden administration was that the Supreme Court was in no rush to address these issues, right? What saved Donald Trump were all the delays in the legal proceedings, including up at the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court can act very quickly. You know, people don't remember, 50-plus years ago in the Pentagon Papers litigation, the Supreme Court, from the district court to the Supreme Court and a ruling, was literally in less than 3 weeks from start to finish. Now, if the Supreme Court takes these cases up quickly now, that would be inconsistent with what we had seen, although in many ways that's a good thing. John Roberts is probably going to be pivotal on this because of what the quote you just read. But the immunity decision, of course, is going to come back to haunt them because President Trump has effectively been given, an opportunity to do whatever he wants without at least criminal penalty for official acts. So it may be that the Supreme Court or any judge is going to have to start holding in contempt or sanctioning lower level officials beneath the president who might not fall within that immunity ruling. Again, starting to bring us into what would be a constitutional crisis of one branch pitted against the other in a real war, not just a disagreement war.
I mean, this could be a huge test for our democratic system. Before Trump's inauguration, I mean, you saw this coming. You were advising clients who were potential targets to leave the country. You've already faced some retaliation in the form of your security clearance being revoked. Do you think more retribution could be on the way?
I have no doubt. Absolutely no doubt. And, the Adams case shows what the flip side is. Trump doesn't look backwards too much. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of retribution going on, but understand also it's the people around him that are pushing much of this. Nobody pays attention to sort of the man behind the curtain. It's not just Trump. There's so many people who have grudges against those of us who have been just fighting for the rule of law. But if you kiss his ring, if you do something that he likes, which whatever is going on with Adams, then he will change his tune pretty quickly. Now, I have no expectation, anticipation. I have no plan to do that. I'm going to continue to do what I do every year since the Clinton administration, and that's hold a president and his administration accountable for illegal and unethical violations. I'm not talking about policy disputes. That's for everybody else to deal with. I deal with the legal issues. And we are not done seeing what retaliation we're going to face. The concerns that I was raising before inauguration, some of them haven't manifested themselves yet. No one's been arrested or thrown into jail. And just wait for that, because I dare say that that's coming.
That is a scary thought. Mark Zaid, thank you.